getting hot, Loza. Hot temperatures, global warming. Guys, today we're talking about climate change, the climate crisis.
Yeah.
The global north. Yeah, this is the one that scares the Europeans. Malaria might be coming to your doorsteps. If it's essential to travel, of course. I'm just saying never travel. I travel.
Your few hours of pleasure is causing years of historical damage. Hello, Globies. Welcome to the World Health Investigation podcast. My name is Jocelyn.
I'm Edna.
And I'm Loza.
We're three young global health professionals and your hosts for the World Health Investigation podcast.
Also known as the WHI, and we're discussing all things global health and unpacking the most controversial health and social issues,
as well as promoting new wave global health development and equity.
So, ladies, what is the tea in global health?
The tea is getting hot.
Today.
The tea is getting hot, Loza. Hot temperatures, global warming.
Hot.
Come and see connections.
Guys, today we're talking about climate change, the climate crisis. Crisis.
Is it a global health crisis?
Is it a global health issue? Is it even our problem? Why do you need to even think about climate change and global health? Well, here. I wanted to begin with a little example, case study to just showcase people.
Lovely.
My first instinct was to think about Cyclone Idai, which some of you remember hit Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Malawi. And it is actually estimated to have killed around 1,300 people. And so what happened was, in Mozambique, for example, they experienced a cholera outbreak right after or shortly after the storm hit. And this is because, as we know, cholera is spread by water contaminated with sewage, for example. And obviously after the storm, people were saying, for example, there was stagnant water, it wasn't draining, obviously because a lot of people had died, they were just decomposing bodies, general lack of good hygiene and sanitation, which obviously then led to the cholera outbreak. And then I think another thing that maybe people don't realize about climate change, like events like this, or rather climate events like this, is the mental health impact. For example, people were reporting a lot of post-trauma disorder because their houses were destroyed. So obviously all their belongings are gone. They may have lost family members, etc. So I don't know. Are you guys convinced that maybe this is a global health issue, climate change?
Yeah, that was convincing. That was convincing. Yeah.
You convinced me right now. No, climate change is a crisis.
Yeah.
It's a global health crisis. We're seeing the signs. Very, very.
Yeah.
I mean, this in itself, it's not something to be scared about. It's coming in the future. It's happening right now.
It's happening now.
Right now. So yes, I think because I know in the world we do have climate change deniers in general. So I want us to try to do something where we just let's establish the facts. Let's go back to our basics, establish the facts, and then we'll also discuss how it actually impacts health in general.
Right.
Number one, global warming. It is happening. It's true. Scientific consensus says that the average global temperatures are rising. Now, whether you think that's human-made or whether you think it's just natural, besides the point, the science is showing that global temperatures are rising. In fact, the Earth's temperature is thought to have rising by 0.08 degrees Celsius per decade ever since 1880. That's just facts.
And that might not seem like a lot to you, but small changes in the Earth's temperature will bring on chaos.
Yeah, and it's been predicted that at this rate, we don't just need to stop the carbon dioxide emissions from rising. The carbon dioxide emissions need to go to zero for the Earth temperature to stop increasing. It's not enough to say, we reduced our CO2 emissions. No. At the moment, if if carbon dioxide emissions are not reduced to the minimal level, temperatures could rise up to even by 2 degrees by 2045 and even more to 4 degrees by 2080.
See.
2045 is not that far, guys. That's when we'll be like 46. Like,
Yeah.
yo,
27, that's very soon.
very soon.
That's very soon, people.
Yeah. And you may be wondering how this can then impact the human body. So if you
Right.
go back to your physiology, you know that the human body, usually your temperature is highly regulated to stay to like 37 degrees Celsius.
Mm.
Now, any like really small deviation from that 37 degrees Celsius is when, you know, when you're feeling fever and stuff like that, it can be very bad. And
Mhm.
it is estimated that, you know, because of these higher temperatures, they make it harder for our bodies to continue to regulate. So people can experience heat exhaustion and stroke.
Yeah, yeah. And you see that already, like with heat waves, especially elderly people, like a lot of them die during heat waves. So it might not seem like a big deal to you, but it is a health crisis in a way.
Yeah, and not just elderly people, like pregnant women as well, neonates,
Yeah.
babies,
Mm-hmm.
deliveries. There are many more premature
Yeah,
deliveries
at
now
risk.
at risk. So there's so many potential impacts of climate change on health, and it may not happen to you directly now, but it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah. That's one thing I want to specify. Sometimes you think I'm healthy, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for now.
For now,
For now. So consider other people.
consider the people. Fact number 2, we
Okay.
have worsening air quality.
Yeah.
Obviously, currently, as we continue to burn fossil fuels, I cannot talk today. As we continue to burn fossil fuels, we're not just emitting greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, but we're also releasing toxic pollutants into the air, right? So
Yes.
they're just like particulate matters, like solid things like, you know, dust, dirt, soot, and smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And bad air quality is definitely not good for your health.
Yeah, we've been new. I mean, I no, actually, this isn't funny. This is very
We're
scary.
expecting,
But
yeah, go
no,
on.
sorry, no, I read like very recently there was a paper by King's College London where they showed that children born in certain parts of London, like the Tower Hamlets, literally had reduced lung capacity and reduced lung developments because of their poor air quality and the like in the place that they were born in and grew up in. So they're gonna be at risk of, you know, lung-related diseases in the future because of pollutions. So why is that not a bigger public health crisis right now? I'm not sure.
I don't know. In fact, yes, bad air quality and just breathing in all these particular matters like smoke, it can cause inflammation, leading to asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is the disease of the lungs, pneumonia, and long-term, people think, you know, you can even develop lung cancer from that.
Yeah.
So WHO even predicts that air pollution is estimated to already cause 7 million premature deaths. 7 million people already we think are dying from poor air quality. Okay.
The environment affects health.
The environment affects health again. Number 3,
Okay.
we are seeing more extreme weather events. So like we saw with our cyclone Idai, for example, we're seeing an increase in frequency and severity of extreme weather events. So I remember last year, 2021, we experienced so many wildfires. It was in California, France, Greece, Russia. You think of a cold place like Russia, they were having like wildfires. There were hurricanes, floods in Germany, Switzerland as well. Like,
yeah, Switzerland was flooded for a bit.
Yeah. And you may be thinking, okay, flooding, health. Well, extreme weather can cause injury, like actual physical injury.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can experience trauma. And then in the aftermath, like we saw with Cyclone Idai, there can be infectious disease outbreaks that can come after such an extreme event. People, you know, flooding, mudslides, whatever it may be, it can reduce people's access to health services. Can experience power outages, and that's going to affect how you store medication, for example. Right now, we know with COVID, the big thing was cold chain supply. And,
right, for Pfizer and them.
exactly. So it can be like the event happens this month, but then months later, like in June or whatever, we're still experiencing, the aftermath.
After. Yeah. Hey, come and see facts.
No, it's a. I mean, I get shocked. I don't get shocked. Like
Yeah.
even when I heard the Amazon rainforest being on fire, it's becoming a desert. The whole, you remember the Amazon rainforest?
Mm-hmm.
The whole Amazon rainforest.
Lungs of the earth, it was called.
The lungs of the earth.
And now it's scary to think about.
Yeah. So the next fact is we are probably going to be expecting a spread of infectious diseases, like we've touched on.
Yeah.
Increases in water and air temperature is going to move diseases like Lyme disease, cholera towards the global north. Yeah.
The global north. Yeah, this is the one that scares the Europeans. Malaria might be coming to your doorsteps. I'm just telling them,
Exactly.
Yeah. I remember reading a paper around how potentially if you have extremely high temperatures or any extreme form of temperature change, now you're shifting the evolutionary tendencies of these pests. So for example, the West now, I read somewhere about like snakes, for example, if you have maybe due to climate change, like snakes, and there are no longer as many snakes. So then you have more and more rats. And now that you have more rats, now that means for that particular environment, it's not good. So if you have more rats now, that means there are more rats to eat more insects, and then rats eat the insects, and then vice versa. And then now we go ahead, happen to go in the forest, we get infections.
Yeah.
Like the West Nile virus.
Yeah.
How did the West Nile virus start? It started off with the mosquitoes. So if you have an increase in mosquitoes, and now you have human beings that happen to interact with those, then we'll have a West Nile virus outbreak. That's what happened with COVID as well, right?
Yeah, like, I mean, as you encroach into the habitats of like animals, and as you go into where they are and you're having more contact with them, then most infectious diseases are zoonotic. So that means, like it's transferred from animals to humans. So yeah, like that's a big thing of like, and considering the environment when you talk about health is as we encroach their habitats, we're gonna get their diseases. And COVID, we don't know for sure which animal gave it to us, but it is very likely that we got it from this situation.
Was it not from seafood?
It's
a seafood markets or from bats, but it's a lot of arguments which particular animal it was.
100%.
But yeah, and I think, I like what you said of like we're messing with the equilibrium of things, and so then it's kind of creating this feedback loop of like more diseases and more.
That's how we're gonna have more infectious diseases.
Are we really gonna die? Maybe.
Are we really gonna die?
Yeah.
I don't want to scare you, but
not us fear mongering. No, but
I just think it's important to note the infectious diseases moving back to the global north, because there is this narrative of like infectious diseases typically just affect the tropics, and that's why we perhaps we have neglected tropical diseases. Attention to infectious diseases because we think it's a problem of the tropics, and us here in the global north, we just need to focus on our chronic conditions and all these things. But no, baby,
it's coming for you too.
Climate change is going to force those infectious diseases back to your door.
And just think about it, think about it this way. But most of the reasons why the infectious diseases in the tropics is due to temperature and temperature changes. Now, if the whole world becomes hotter,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Malaria is at your doorstep.
We're all gonna be in trouble. So
we're all in this together, guys.
Watch out. Okay, and then the last 2 points are around water security and food security, of course.
Yeah.
So in terms of water, flooding can contaminate water and reduce people's access to safe and clean water. And we know that is very much just like a basic human need and just a basic health need. Food security as well. We can have droughts, increasing in temperature causing droughts, and, that's going to spoil our crops. And again, like we're saying, we're encroaching on different animals' habitats and stuff like that. They can now just come in and start contaminating our own crops. So that's gonna cause some food insecurity there.
Yeah, and even like droughts. That's the one that gets East Africa a lot. Like I'm Ethiopian, so it's as the temperatures get hotter, maybe for Europe, it's like okay, we get nice weather, but like it gets really hot for us, and like lack of rainfall again leads to food insecurity.
Yeah. And then that, I'm literally thinking of cholera as well. I'm thinking of the cholera outbreak in Haiti. Literally, as there was a flood, and that led to what? Pollution of water, right? As the water got polluted, that's how people got cholera, and there was cholera outbreak. So maybe in Europe, that may not happen instantly, but if that happens as well in any country, it is very, very possible that you're gonna face consequences of not just hot temperature or whatever.
Yeah.
But it affects people, it's causing outbreaks, it's causing major, major, major infectious disease complications. But here we are.
And as we all know, diseases, they don't have borders. So what happens on one side of the world will show up at your doorstep too.
Even temperature doesn't have borders.
Like, oh yeah, also global warming is for everybody.
For everybody.
Oh, getting hot.
The tea's getting hot.
Yeah. And I again just want to emphasize the mental toll. Like that just cannot be ignored. Like these extreme weather events, they can be very traumatic. Water and food insecurity, displacement that can be caused.
Right.
Those things can drive anxiety, depression,
Because can we even talk about like climate change refugees, like people that will be displaced from their homes, their countries because of climate change, and the mental toll that will take as you literally don't have a country anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot to consider when it comes to climate change and health.
Yeah. So do you have any doubt in your mind that climate change has health impacts?
Yeah, no, I'm joking.
Because I will kill you.
She said, I said all of this, I give you all these facts.
Exactly.
Climate change is real, guys, please.
Loza.
I'm joking.
Personally, I'm still feeling kind of cold. So you're telling me about climate change, but I'm feeling a bit cold. Can you fix that? Can we talk about that?
But can we also talk about the fact that we are like what? End of February right now.
Hot.
It is hot.
It is hot outside. Like I've never seen February like this in my life.
The sun is shining. I've already been feeling some allergies. I'm like, spring
is on your doorstep.
If you live in the United Kingdom, London, you would understand how chaotic the weather is.
Yeah, storm was getting dull.
Yeah. You start off a beautiful day with rain, and then it starts snowing, and then you have hail, and then it's sunny, and it starts snowing again, and it starts being rainy. We've had that before. And then we have wind. Then we had what's her name? Eunice. Eunice came and said hello to us the other time.
A gentle hello.
If you know Eunice, you know who I'm talking about. I'm personalizing her because she personally affected me. She affected me because all the trees were falling on the train rack. The trees were falling on people. The trees, the wind was importing the O2 Arena. The O2 Arena in London, United Kingdom. It blew off the rooftop. And you want to tell me that climate change does not exist? You must be very mad.
You're so traumatized.
My goodness, the O2 roof really touched you, huh?
Yeah, I just said I can't believe it. You can get anything but the O2. Yeah, I can't lie. I saw that and I said, ooh, this one is serious.
Yeah, I was minding my business, but Eunice wanted to carry me to the air. It wanted to take me to heaven before my time. Did I say I want to go?
Eunice said you have no choice.
Yeah. But I mean, you still raised some like really good points there about like, you see, it disrupted transportation. There's people that have to get places. There's people with jobs. What if your boss is not very understanding?
Right.
There's a tree here. And they're like, but you must still come to work.
Yeah, and they be like that,
Like that. And also, I mean, like on a more serious note, the way people who are also experiencing power outages. And obviously it's still winter. It's not like it's completely
When I had my friend
no heating.
like, oh, I have to go back to work, but then I can't go to work because we're told to stay at home. But his boss is telling him to go to work.
You
But he
see,
can't go to work. So now I was literally sitting down at home praying, like, please God, let this not be this time, because if he goes and something happens, anyways, it causes conflicts as well.
It's in relationships.
it causes
what she said.
major problems in the workplace. Anyway, let's not get off topic.
Which ultimately can affect health too, because again, health and its social determinants. Mental health, I mean, even if you lose your job, your health is anyway, it's long.
It's also very interconnected. I think yeah, we just want to go through all this because we know there's people who deny it, but we're trying to reestablish the facts.
Right.
So now let's move on to the culprits. Who is really emitting all of this carbon dioxide, all these greenhouse gases?
You.
Huh?
Yeah, I saw you use a plastic straw yesterday, so I think it's you.
Wait, are you acting Edna?
Also you, actually. Is that like is your glasses? I see plastic in there too.
Where did you get that dress? Shein?
What?
No.
What's that?
I thrifted it.
Excuse me. I'm drinking from a metal mug. I don't do anything. I avoid plastic. I make sure I do my recycling. But again, we're not talking about individuals here.
Let's get because this
corporation.
I want to address Jeff and them.
Right. We know that in the world, the top 3 biggest emitters are China, United States of America. Right. I mean, I've seen a lot sometimes when people talk about who emits the most global carbon emissions, they'll talk about low to middle income countries contribute 63% of global carbon emissions. Why are you asking me? Why are you asking me?
Why you always?
I mean, why did they group everybody together?
The fact that you can group all
of us and say 63%.
Why you always lying? Why you always lying?
Oh my
God. Stop lying.
You're serious. But no.
Right. But I also want to shift our attention to healthcare itself, the healthcare sector, because we do have emissions that we break down in terms of like how each country is emitting. But let's try to think about the healthcare sector.
Right.
So did you guys know that the healthcare sector accounts for almost 5% of global dioxide? Global dioxide.
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon. I mean, it's because we might as well call it global dioxide. It is
Lord.
The health sector accounts for almost 5% of global carbon dioxide emissions. In fact, they think if healthcare was a country, it would be the 5th largest emitter. Top 5.
Did not know until today, because that's crazy.
We are involved. We are implicated. So hold us accountable. Come on, Edna.
She said, I guess we're involved too.
We getting dragged today.
Yeah. We're not perfect.
I'll give you specific examples. So in 2017, the NHS alone, Jocelyn, what is NHS? Sorry, explain to me. I forgot.
NHS, the National Health Service.
That's the
United Kingdom. Get our health, our free health.
Our free health. That same one that's giving you free health, it is contributing to around 6.3% of the climate.
Why are you acting my NHS?
No, you're NHS.
Why are you acting my NHS? Leave them alone, please. They're giving people free health. Let them be.
But also giving us free carbon emissions.
Yay! At the end of the day, no one can be exempt from accountability.
No one, not even the NHS.
No, not even health. No,
not even the NHS. And I just like this quote from Tedros, where he said, healthcare sector facilities are also a source of carbon emissions. We know that. And Tedros was like, this is perhaps ironic As medical professionals, our commitment is to what?
Do no harm.
No harm.
You have it as I'm gonna have that as a slogan.
A slogan, do no harm, guys.
Do no
Do
harm.
no harm.
As medical professionals, our commitment is to first do no harm. Places of healing should be leading the way, not contributing to the burden of disease.
He was in a mood to drag that day, huh?
Tedros was not the one who
He said, I'll say it and you do what you will. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I can identify like multiple places where health can contribute to climate change and global warming, like, you know, all the traveling that you do for the conferences, all the single-use plastic we be using in the lab, yeah, amongst other things.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
You go to a conference, you talk about climate change, you talk about you recycling, but you travel there.
With what?
With your oyster.
Your private jet.
I'm not acting anybody. I'm not. The world is your oyster, but you're the world's oyster. What are you traveling with? You want to travel the world, travel everywhere. In what? You have an oyster card in a private jet.
What the? An oyster card for the non-British people is a transportation card that you use to take transport.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
No, Jocelyn, you bring up an excellent point, because I don't know you guys if you remember the COP26 26 that happened in Glasgow. Was it last year?
Yeah, very recent. It was just the other day.
Recently.
And you'd be seeing them on the news. There's like, yes, the global leaders, they're arriving. They're arriving in their private jets.
You're here.
Climate change summit.
You are flexing on the atmosphere. You are flexing on.
So let's sit there and discuss about how burning wood in Africa is gonna destroy the world, and they arrived on a private jet.
Make it make sense.
Y'all couldn't share a plane at least.
You know what I mean?
Like,
let's have like a little real side conversation here. If they offer you a private jet to go to work, will you say no?
Yeah. I don't want to get canceled. I can't talk all this stuff and then they catch me in a private jet tomorrow. I'll say it wasn't me.
If they offered you private jet to be traveling, will you say no?
They say, Liza, we need you to go.
We need you today.
Okay, I'll take a commercial flight, guys.
There's no
Maybe
time
put me in first class so I could feel cute. But you know, if you have money for a private jet, put me in first class. I feel bad, man. Why am I by myself doing private jets?
You're the most important.
I'm like 55 kilo. I don't need one plane for my whole self. It's okay. I can share a plane. I'm not that bougie.
I personally will not lie. Like the first time they say you have to fly private because we just need to get you there so fast. I'll be
Is
like,
it by force?
I get it. Pack my bags right now. I'll go right now.
If I go there, I better be fighting war. I better be.
You know what I mean?
Be really,
so yeah, what is it that is so important that they need me there ASAP Rocky? You know.
I mean, this pandemic has shown that we're all doing everything on Teams and Zoom. Right now we're in different countries. Switzerland, where some of us are in Switzerland, some of us in this WHI podcast, Switzerland, the UK. We're doing it. But if I had to fly every day to be going to and fly every day to come back, I'd have to consider that.
You know, some of these billionaires would do it too.
I do want to balance this a little bit though. Like, do you guys think there's literally like no value in doing things in person versus like virtual?
No, there is value, but like I think it's important to, especially within global health, if we're gonna acknowledge the impact of climate change, it's important to consider, is me being in person essential to the work, right? And if so, of course. But I think one thing with COVID, a lot of these organizations realized is a lot of their travel wasn't essential to their work. They actually could do it over Zoom. Yeah, that might not be as fun and as exciting, but you know what's not exciting? Floods and hurricanes. No, I'm sorry. So I think, yeah, if it's essential to travel, of course, I'm just saying never travel. I travel, but I don't know.
Your few hours of pleasure is causing years of historical damage.
Well, there we go. Let's write that down. And yeah, I think that's what it is. I think there is value to in-person work, but it's just sometimes it's essential, sometimes it's not.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, I can see why sometimes, especially these like global leaders, these high level meetings, why they may think it's really needed to have them in person. Like, I don't know, there's probably something, maybe I don't know politics like that, but something about, going there, giving that strong handshake.
Yeah, diplomacy.
The,
Maybe they don't want their Zoom meeting leaked.
the negotiation, all these different things. I'm sure there's politics around it and the importance of all of that. But I think it was a good point. Like, for some of us, like, am I an essential person? Like, must I really go there?
More important, but yeah. But I mean, even for them, I think my problem wasn't even that they traveled, it's the fact that they each had their own plane. Like, how can you do that? Like, it's just very counterintuitive. I don't know how they're not embarrassed.
They were self-isolating.
Girl, they were not self-isolating when they were all hugging in front of, like, what is it, that thing, wishing themselves luck and doing photo ops.
I'm screaming. This is so funny.
Yeah. We're trying to be very serious and very. We just keep asking them.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I then wanted to talk. Yeah, let's focus a little bit on like COP26. I was a little bit into like, they come to this COP26. Was it COP26? Yes, and they have maybe some outcome statements. Excuse me. And for instance, they all went there, world leaders, and these are some of the things they agreed to do in terms of solutions. Like, they recognize, just as we have, like, the facts are undeniable, the climate change crisis is real, there's something done, and we need to target, lowering carbon emissions, stuff like that. So these are some of the things. They say we want driven commitments to move away from coal power. Great. Burning fossil fuels, like we said, is contributing to global warming. Halt and reverse deforestation, reduce methane emissions, and speed up the switch to electric vehicles. These are just some highlights of what they're suggesting as like a path forward. Now, my thing is, if you remember again, I said the top emitters are the richest countries, and they have come up with these solutions. Do we think that these climate change solutions are fair and equitable? Like, they actually make sense for all countries in the world?
They said let them eat cake. They said use electric cars. It's easy. Come on now.
Yeah.
It's the Tesla these days, right?
Teslas are, come on. Elon is giving them away.
We'll just get electric cars. Of course. All of us can just get electric cars.
Yeah, I have one in my backyard. Yeah. No, it's not. It's not. I think it's a little hypocritical too after actually, not only after they polluted and they did their industrialization and delayed ours, and they're still polluting, to come and, give these solutions that are a little tone deaf. It's not equitable, no.
Exactly. And guys, not to always bang on about like colonization, but it is what it is,
No, that's why I said delayed.
Many of these European countries, people who are now top emitters, they obviously had the opportunity to have like these industrial revolutions where a lot of that, progress and technological advancement was being powered by coal, for example, and that contributed a lot to like, greenhouse emissions and all of that. But now we have suggestions, for example, of like, yeah, let's move away from coal power. Right. I know during COP26 there was a whole back and forth between India and some of these countries, because I think the wording, they started off by saying we need to phase out coal power, and India came in there like, what do you mean phase out? Phase out, like, why?
To where?
Where they say we need
what does that actually mean?
Like slowly stop using,
like completely get rid of coal power. So phase out would suggest like, yeah, we'll slowly cut it down and then get rid of it. And then you said, no, wait a minute, maybe it should be phased down, which is what I think finally concluded, which is like, we don't want to completely get rid of coal power, because obviously that is still like important for different countries' development. We want to just reduce it. That's the compromise they had to reach.
It's an interesting one, because there's two sides to this coin. I remember you, Justin, saying like, in order to stop global warming, like these increases in temperatures, you need to cut carbon dioxide emissions, not reduce them. But then from this perspective, it's like, okay, what is a realistic approach to do that? Because if we say India, stop using coal right now, do they sit in darkness? Like what are they meant to do then? We need to find like a sustainable approach to replace that and an affordable approach to replace coal before you kind of make demands like this.
Exactly. It is, that's the part where I find it a bit unfair in terms of like, you cannot just ask every, like, for the top emitters, I think perhaps it makes sense for like a lot of efforts to be focused on them in terms of cutting down these carbon emissions.
Mm-hmm.
I do think we need to recognize that some countries are still trying to very much modernize and, you know, do all these different things. So is it really fair to tell them to like, no, you need to slow that down?
Yeah. And I just add on to that, the Western countries have gone through their whole industrialization phase, right? They've had that. They've had time to. They have emitted the carbon dioxide.
Mm-hmm.
They had their time to emit it, and nobody was at the time. Nobody could properly hold them accountable because climate change was not as much of a global health concern as it is today.
Exactly.
So I think it's a bit unfair to get developing countries to not do what they can to improve on their countries. I'm not saying that we should encourage them to pollute the environment, but you have to consider the fact that, okay, yes, they're not the biggest polluters out there.
Right.
And you cannot group, as Loza said before, you cannot group low and middle income countries together.
Yeah, and say 63%.
You have the US, you have China, you have big companies, you have industries, energy industry.
I think it's targeting industries as well, more than countries.
Yeah, industries particularly, the petroleum industry, the energy industry, transport industry,
fashion.
the fashion industry. Let's talk about the fashion industry. Yeah. Where are you getting your iPhone from? Nike, Adidas.
I don't even have.
I mean, I don't mean to at you, but let's talk about the
exactly.
people that are emitting, the people that are profiting a lot from these products are the ones that are emitting the most, greenhouse gases.
No, I like what you said with that, the industries. I think they also need to be targeted. I think they get away scot-free because they have money and they make money for their countries. But
then are we then going to start telling people to stop wearing Nike?
No, like
still wearing.
I think more than personal responsibility is important. I think we should all do our part to our capacity to be, nicer to kinder to the environment, but actually targeting industries and how they produce their material. Putting more research into alternative methods and all of that. I think that should be a bigger priority than telling one person, okay, stop using plastic. Because that's not really, I don't know, it's not productive. It's not a productive conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, to add to that, it's me personally, if we're to ask me, I don't know if you guys feel the same way. It is, yes, I grew up in an era of like, what's the name? An Inconvenient Truth, that documentary coming out. You're very much taught from an early age that, try to recycle, switched from plastic straws to, the metallic straws. You're taught, like a lot of things that a lot of action that you as a person can take in order to, reduce our carbon footprint, right? But then you also see that when we talk about global levels, like Jocelyn pointed out, like there's whole industries that are like responsible for like these big emissions. It's not me personally on my own that's, contributing to majority of like the emissions. It's coming from particular industries. It's coming from very particular countries. So then it's like, it's difficult to find this balance between, okay, where's the personal responsibility? Where can we actually have more like systemic changes?
I think that is a challenge right now, but I often see the conversation being geared towards personal responsibility. I'm not sure why. I think maybe it's easier to tackle if you just tell people to recycle more. But like, to what extent is that really going to address our problems if the biggest emitters are still continuing to emit?
relate with that. I remember when I was learning about climate change from primary school, in fact, from nursery school.
From day one, they told us the world is spreading.
All the little talks that we had, recycle, doing some illustrations or whatever, it was all individual, and it was kind of individualistic, and it was that individualistic approach. And now growing up, I now see that there are a lot of other factors that have not been addressed. Why have they not been taught to us? Talk about climate change, climate education, like geography. Why? I don't know if you guys, I know that you did geography in IB, right?
I did, yeah, we did a lot of climate change.
Do you feel, because personally, when I learned a lot of this stuff, I wasn't taught enough about the industries and how exactly they're emitting and how they should be held accountable. And
absolutely.
What differently. It was mostly like people.
Yeah. When we did climate change, I mean, we did a lot of it, but it was the science of it, how it worked, people did it, how it affects people. It wasn't a lot of focus on the industries.
Yeah. And for me, I think we have way past the conversation of like, okay, is climate change an issue? I think now for me, I take issue sometimes with how we approach the solutions. One of the personal responsibility things that's really highly encouraged, because I do think it's possible that the actions of many individuals, as a collective can make a lot of like a difference.
Yeah.
So for instance, let's cut down on our consumption of animal products. That's quite popular right now is like milk alternatives. So
right.
Don't just rely on like milk produced from cows or from animals. It's, try your oat milk, try your almond milk, try your soy milk, different things. But there's issues with those.
Yeah. You also, I think it comes to sustainability, like overconsumption, right? Because people said milk alternatives, they all went to soy, but then soy was also like production was affecting the environment, right? So it's like focusing on sustainably derived products, I think is an ultimate goal.
It's an ultimate goal, but I think it has taken a lot of personal responsibility to do that. Like Jocelyn is saying, it's not a geography class that I learned about these things of like, they'll encourage you to like switch to like different alternatives, but they may not go into like, but soy milk has these and these, downsides. Almond milk, I know, is like one that requires a lot of water in order to one into that fine detail. I had to find it out on my own, and then I have to make the lifestyle change to be like,
right.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to also focus on the industries, because they're the ones, like, yes, there's personal responsibility, and we need to stay educated 100%, but at the end of the day, it is there. I think there needs to be some sort of responsibility on the producers to do it in a responsible and sustainable, ethical way.
100%.
But yeah, I think one big thing though, in terms of like personal change, I liked seeing this, was as a collective, I think a change we did, I make jokes about the plastic straws, but like, I never see plastic straws anymore. And I remember it being such a big thing on TikTok of like, it's gonna kill the turtles. And that was the power of people. Like, it was people that said, oh, I saw the problem in this, we need to change it. And then the industries adapted. So maybe if we all collectively agree on things, we can force them to change again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, Jocelyn, you also made an excellent point when we were talking before about like affordability of some of these things as well. We need to consider that.
Yeah.
We need to consider.
Yeah. I think, sometimes the conversation around being environmentally friendly can be classist because not everyone has resources to choose certain things. Like some things are not affordable.
Yeah, you
with fast fashion, for example.
You living in your nice apartment, afford to choose certain shops that you want to shop at. You could go to, I don't know, a plant-based buy your food or buy, you could go to certain, even to shop for your clothes, you could afford, but some people only, it's not, is it a healthy option? No, but some people only have the choice of fast food today. Some people can only even in Western countries, some people only eat like McDonald's and stuff like that because they can only afford it.
That's also where it gets problematic, this personal responsibility thing. But sometimes it's the only choice.
do you now think that everyone should be vegan?
No, it's not sustainable.
I don't think so either, because like Loza pointed out, a lot of like vegan products are based on soy, right? And
Yeah.
like production and the farming of it can actually also cause harm. So
whatever we consume, if it's too much, it will cause harm. It's just reducing it. And forcing everyone to be vegan, I mean, I don't know. It even feels culturally insensitive, like telling you to cut out all your traditional foods and eat a carrot. I don't know.
And I also understand that overconsumption of red meat is a climate problem as well, can lead to some of these problems because it contributes to agriculture, and agriculture is also a major emitter of CO2, So whilst we acknowledge that meat consumption is a problem, overconsumption of meat is a problem. But we do have to try to remain equitable, and we think of other people as well. If you're going to tell people to completely stop eating meat, some people can't afford to do that. But at the same time, if you can, it would be helpful to not over consume meat.
Yeah.
100%. I think you guys bring up an excellent point there in terms of like culture as well, like what some of these proposed climate change solutions can mean for culture. Because I know in a lot of places it's like, already my diet rarely includes like meat because I cannot afford it. So when yes, meat, it's like, it's a sign of like, yes, times are good. You know?
Right. I'm telling these people you're bad for the environment.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Understanding the nuances of it is really important.
Understanding the nuances. Yeah. So I think now we've understood that, okay, yeah, there's a lot of personal responsibility, and we've touched on all these various things, and it is very much pushed on people. But it's not enough that's pushed on the industries. Like I think who mentioned like the fashion industry, your Sheins.
Yeah.
You know, and the issue that I find there is, let's say now we know fast fashion is terrible for the environment. But the thing is, do we all have enough money to be shopping in these brands that, you know, really source their materials very in an eco-friendly way and all these different things? No. But now does that mean you're not allowed to be fashionable?
Yeah, this is a conversation. It's hard. Like, I think shaming people for shopping fast fashion is ridiculous, because now what am I meant to do? Pay like 100 for a t-shirt? I can't. But I think we do have, and I'm guilty of this, we do have a culture of overconsumption. Like we say retail therapy, we say, I'm going to go shop, I feel sad, I'm going to buy a new thing. You can do without that new shirt, or without, like, you don't have to buy as often. I think that would be my advice, is it's not necessarily never shop fast fashion, because not all of us can afford it, but you know, you don't need multiple things every month. You don't need to change your wardrobe every month. It's like, you can be fashionable with what you have, I think.
And also, you can be fashionable in so many ways. Like, you don't always have to shop at some of these places. Like, personally, and I've seen people do it, you can do some of the knitting yourself. There's something that you could do yourself.
True. My friend was crocheting.
It will save you money. It will save you transport. It will save you so many different things. So if instead of you like buying food or like delivering, I don't know, buying food or going to a restaurant every single day, you could also make your own food at home. Or what else? There's so many just little people trying to like bring a whole person to come and fix your roof. I don't know, something. Just try, you know, try and then self-reliant. And also enjoy yourself. And then you might find yourself actually being like, okay, I'm actually good at this.
Yeah.
100%. I really like that approach. And in general, like, I think, yes, we don't want to hammer on about personal responsibility and stuff, but I believe the one key thing that could really help in terms of like leading to bigger changes is your money. Your money can actually make impact.
Yeah, your money talks.
Your money talks, and what you spend your money on is very important. So here, you can choose to spend your money on fast fashion, or you can choose to spend your money on like, let me get me some knitting materials. Let me go on YouTube. Let me find out how to do this. You know what I mean? And
oh my God, that's so cute. You said, let me plug.
I just had to. Anyways, keep going.
Fashion by Jocelyn coming soon.
As in,
Coming with the fashion tips very soon.
Yeah. So that would be like my first piece of advice for people in terms of like things that you can do that can actually, you know, at a later stage kind of give, you know, have great impact is like use your wallet, invest if you can, if you have enough money, maybe you can invest towards, you know, innovative solutions to
yeah, this one's for the millionaires.
it's not really just for the millionaires,
No, I'm joking, for the wealthies.
for the people that, you know.
You don't have to wear designer from head to toe. I know some of you are itching.
Don't you acting?
Please. I know some people are gonna drag me for saying this. It's not every day, Louis Vuitton. It's not every day. It is not. Sometimes you don't have to. You know, if you want to show that you're a fashionable person, you don't have to wear those things all the time. And I'm not saying that I don't want to. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be fashionable. I'm just saying just be mindful.
You sound like a mom.
Be mindful.
That's so cute.
Be mindful.
But no, it's true. And you, yeah, as you were saying, investing.
Yeah, I mean, think about the fact that like, no, these don't underestimate your wallet because, you know, a lot of these companies, they want your money. Think about the campaigns they go on when it's Black History Month, when it's
Pride Month.
Pride Month. There we go.
The rainbows come out.
The rainbows suddenly come out. Suddenly they're like, yes, we embrace everybody.
We love everybody.
Yeah, money runs the world, unfortunately, and so where you put your money will reflect on what changes are going to happen. Is true.
Yeah. So then my second piece of advice to people, and you guys feel free to chime in, I think is around you as a person, the other power that you have, if you can vote, is how you vote, who you elect to be your representative, what kind of policy makers you elect, and what do those policy makers prioritize.
I'm big on this. I'm big on this. Yeah. Switzerland and the referendums, pay attention to them.
Yeah, no, 100%. I know one of the key issues here that we had to vote on in Switzerland was around like taxing of
airplanes. Oh, airplanes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things of like we could vote to sort of increase the tax for airplanes or something. But the whole debate there was around like, well, that now means me personally, I have to pay more.
To pay more. Yeah.
But it was still put up for a public vote, which is something.
Yeah, great conversation. Maybe sometimes we need to sacrifice some things for the environment.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, elect policymakers that consider climate change a priority.
I couldn't agree more.
I think, yeah, that was going to be my advice, but you said it. But I think at the end of the day, policymakers make the decisions, and the way we can affect things is by electing them. Because some of you people have a say. I don't have any votes, but some of you people have votes, so please vote for the environment.
There's only so much recycling I can do.
This one sounds tired.
Tired.
Like
I was recycled enough.
This ad somewhere saying that the bin is not magic. It doesn't just go anywhere. You know,
yeah.
There's only so much recycling I can do. So at the end of the day, the decisions are being made by the policymakers. So if you can find a way, can collectively come together to elect the right people, then maybe, yeah.
I think it's also being in collective, like, uniting actually creates change. If we all collectively vote, if we all collectively put our money in, environmentally friendly places, then, or spend our money there, then we can see a change in the right direction.
Yes, I think that's a beautiful way to sum all of this up. I don't know if you get any more advice for our listeners, any big takeaways from this episode. Sorry?
Just stay woke.
I said stay warm.
Warm.
Yeah.
She's sick.
She's sick, y'all. Like, don't.
I'd like to apologize, but I think you said it like with the two main points. But I think just stay informed that climate change isn't a faraway concept, and it's bound to affect everybody. And it is something that you can do something about. Like, it is an issue, but we have some power to change it and place in ways that we can spend our money, elect, but also for the policymakers, and maybe some powerful people are listening to us. Please,
just please,
like, do better. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Do better.
And fortunately or unfortunately or fortunately, we right now, we can't ignore the fact that global health is global. So you can't just focus on health or medicine. You have to think about the environment, you have to think about the globe, think about the insects, you have to think about everything, even waste.
Everybody's.
So healthcare is one. We have to consider that one health approach. This one.
One health. She dropped it in last minute.
For it. I was like,
One health, y'all. That's true. Look it up.
That we have learned. I have learned in my lectures that health is. You cannot approach health only from a scientific perspective. I understand that in global health, there's so many factors. This ecosystem, nature is interconnected. And without us acting right accordingly for it, we're not going to be able to survive.
Amen.
See, I joke a lot, but I make points.
That was a good point. No, it's true.
It makes sense.
It's true.
All right, then. I guess that's us for this episode.
Yeah.
Climate crisis, impacts on global health. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of the World Health Investigation podcast.
I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Loza.
And we are three young global health professionals and your hosts for the World Health Investigation podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Please follow us on our social. Instagram, Facebook, World Health Investigation. On Twitter at WHI_podcast. Memory, World Health Investigation. And YouTube, World Health Investigation. Please
subscribe. Subscribe and follow.
Right now.
Immediately. We threaten you every week, but do it now.
Expeditiously.
We're watching you. Just know we're watching you.
We are. Through your cameras. But yeah, thank you for listening.
And have a lovely week.